David versus Goliath, a crushed apple, and the sloppiest, most disastrous love triangle in history. Now that's what I call wrestling.
These happen for real.
Hey there, sports fans. My name is Kit Parsons, also known as professional wrestler Magnum CK, and this is Now That's What I Call Wrestling, a very special episode of Now That's What I Call Wrestling, our Now This series, which allows us to take a distraction from the action and dive into another place in time outside of the World Wrestling Empire, which is our current muse, our current obsession, our current guilty pleasure. And this time we're diving into something that really cuts to the core of humanity, that worms its way down to the center of what's really the cause of all of the strife and controversy all throughout art, life, and otherwise, which is, of course, love. This time we are returning to one of our favorite stomping grounds, International Pro Wrestling, IPW, Little Rock, Arkansas's hidden gym, home of some of the greatest competitors of all time, Tony the Spider, the gorgeous JR, the Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. But this week we take a look at two new individuals, two star-crossed lovers, perhaps. I don't want to spoil it. Let's just dive right into it.
These happen for real.
Sports fan, I don't mind telling you that this time we are dealing with some kind of new territory for us, a love story. We don't get to touch on love stories very often here at Now That's What I Call Wrestling, but now we're changing that. We're broadening our horizons. And what good's a love story if we don't know the people who may or may not be in love together? So we might as well take a big old fat bite out of this one and see the three people who are strolling through our orchard of love.
Folks, Bulldozer and Gypsy.
We have Bulldozer and Gypsy, the resident happy couple of IPW, right? I say that they're the resident happy couple because I think they're the only couple in IPW, so we have to assume that they're the happiest since they're the only ones. Bulldozer, big, tough, raw-boned, like just motorcycle, like biker type, right? And Gypsy, just fawning all over him, like just loyal. She's strapped to the back of that hog any chance she gets, and maybe to the front of that hog too. I can't speculate. I can only assume that they are just hanging and banging, brother.
Richie Rouge, a few weeks ago I challenged you here on TV in the IPW. Now I want to know why you haven't accepted my challenge, boy.
And this is Bulldozer's obsession, and maybe even what's rotting away at the core of Bulldozer, if I may be so bold, his obsession with one Richie Rouge. Richie Rouge, not a big guy. He's kind of a little guy, self-admitted little guy. He's standing next to Buddy Lee, looks like about the size of a small child. That's fine, because it's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight of the dog. It's just not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fighting. It's the size of the dog. It's not the fight. It's not the fight. Holy. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the motion of the ocean. But more on Richie Rouge later. We need to focus on this happy couple in the prime of their something apples.
Are you afraid of me, or is it true what I've told everybody that you're a daddy's boy? Or are you just a little yellow belly coward and you ain't got guts enough to get in the ring with me, boy?
It's a tale as old as time. Look at Bulldozer. This guy's got it all. He's big. He owns at least one pair of sunglasses. He has some sort of potentially motorcycle or local rock band t-shirt that probably wasn't cheap. 1994, 1993 money could have been upwards of 10, 11, 12, $10. He's got some nice tattoos. Those aren't cheap. He's got a chain around his neck, I guess. I don't know why. It doesn't seem to be long enough to really do much, but he's got it there just in case. In case the chain breaks on his motorcycle, he's got one. And he's got the love of his life just fawning all over him. But what's he focused on? He's focused on Richie Rouge. He calls Richie Rouge a daddy's boy.
I'm going to leave you laying when you do. That's a promise, mister. I'm going to take you apart like you ain't ever been took apart. I'm gonna let your old man know.
I love Gypsy just kind of pantomiming everything he's saying. Like, it's almost like that lady who was the pretending to be the ASL interpreter and was just like faking the sign, like despicably just faking the sign language, the ASL over on the side. Gypsy's doing an early version of that, I think, where she's just kind of like not acting as an interpreter, but as a resident mime for what's happening here. In case there's anyone watching TV who's a mime and wants to know what's going on, they can just watch Gypsy and they will know. Like, she does the bit where she gets stuck behind the wall and she's like lassoing somebody, maybe with the chain.
I'm gonna let your old man know and your old mammy know that she ain't nothing and he ain't nothing and you ain't ever had nothing, boy.
Okay, so Bulldozer, so all right. So far, Bulldozer's big complaints are, I keep challenging you, boy, and you won't accept my challenge, my I guess, arbitrary challenge. And also, I think you're a daddy's boy and a mommy's boy, and I also want you to tell your mommy and your daddy that he's not nothing and she's not nothing either. What the hell? Like, the Hatfields and the McCoys, the Capulets and the Montagues, this ain't. But that's where we are. It's the Good Bad Wrestling. If you just tuned into this show for the first time, first of all, how weird must this shit seem? But also, that's what we're here to do. We're not here to have deep, compelling stories. We're here to have ham-fisted, raw-boned, if I may be so bold, raw-dogged stories just unceremoniously thrust upon us. Riding hog.
So I'm going to tell you something. You put your name on the dotted line, mister, because I'm hot and I'm mad right now, boy.
I'm hot. I'm hot right now. It's hot in here, but I'm not mad. I'm not mad yet. Gypsy is making me feel funny. Gypsy is all over Bulldozer and making hard eye contact with the camera and with me and my soul as I watch this. So say what you want about Bulldozer, okay, and his obsession with Richie Rouge, but Gypsy is after it, and Gypsy is just making me feel. You ever felt so uncomfortable that you just got comfortable with it?
Boy, because you're a coward. You're a lily-livered, yellow-gutted coward, boy. So you come on down and you accept the challenge, mister.
We all, at the very least, we know Gypsy is all about having her hands all over Bulldozer, and Bulldozer is all about getting his hands onto Richie Rouge. Why? Because we don't know.
Richie Rouge, you've been challenged twice on television by the Bulldozer. I want to know what's going to happen.
Richie Rouge looks wildly reluctant. Like, Richie Rouge looks like he doesn't even want to talk about this. Richie Rouge has been called down to the principal's office because he and his buddies got a little too wild in the restroom by the gymnasium and started horsing around, and somebody took a misstep, fell back, and knocked down the new hand dryer that the PTO donated money to have installed. And now Richie Rouge has been called down, and he's getting called to the carpet, and the vice principal's there, and the principal's there, and his parents are on the way, and they're asking him about it, and he just doesn't want to talk about it.
Has that ever happened to you?
Well, you know, there's a fine line between ignorance and stupidity, and if there's one thing I'm not, it's stupid.
So, hold on. So there's a fine. Okay, let me do the quick math on this. There's a fine line between ignorance and stupidity. Ignorance, stupidity. And there's a fine line right here. And Richie Rouge is saying he's not on the stupidity side, and you can't be on the fine line because we all know it's too fine. So he's on the ignorance side. At least he's self-aware.
I mean, let's face it, the man's 100 pounds heavier than me, about a foot taller. I don't want to step in the ring with him.
It's a bold tactic for a wrestling show where one guy's just incessantly challenging the other guy, and he's like, listen, stop, it's no big deal, okay? I don't want to do it. I don't want to wrestle you. I don't want to fight you in the ring. I don't know why you keep coming out onto this wrestling television show and asking me to wrestle you and demanding that I wrestle you and insulting me to try to get me to wrestle you. I'm just here to hang out, okay? I'm not stupid. I'm just ignorant. So just calm down. I'm just here for catering.
But you know, my daddy always taught me one thing growing up, and that's to never back down from a fight.
Well, we know the truth about your daddy, Richie Rouge, is that he ain't nothing and your mama ain't nothing. I saw it on TV.
And you know, I've said it once and I'll say it again. It doesn't matter who I have to step into the ring with, how much bigger they are than me, I'll be in there fighting every time.
Okay, all right. Here's the thing. So we're supposed to, I think, be rooting for Richie Rouge here. He's supposed to be like the good guy, and Bulldozer's the big bully calling him out. But I'm sorry. I don't feel that way about it right now because we just witnessed some world-class duplicity going on here. We didn't witness stupidity or ignorance. I don't know what. Maybe Richie Rouge has done the impossible and he's on the fine line. I don't know. What I do know is what he said. And what Richie Rouge said was, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to accept his challenge. But also, my dad always said, don't ever turn down a fight. So I'm never going to turn down a fight either. I'm not going to fight you, but I will not ever turn down a fight. And you're too big, and I'm too small to fight you. But also, no matter how big someone is or small I am, I'm never going to turn down a fight. But just not this one. So great. So what the hell do we do with that?
He's having a real good.
Bulldozer's trying hard to have some kind of conflict here, and Richie Rouge is just not taking a bite of that apple. So what we have then is Richie Rouge with someone that we're familiar with. If you've watched our Jeff Farmer episodes, if you remember when we jumped into the Chronicles of Jumpin' Jeff Farmer, we have Motley Crue, who is just one tough customer, who looks like the stage manager from the Muppets, of course, who is just laying it in to Richie Rouge. And Richie Rouge with some nice hopping punches here, sending Motley Crue, who, by the way, I think was a trainer and one of the only probable wrestlers that we have on these cards. But Richie Rouge with a great standing dropkick. You got to call it out. If we're going to watch good, bad wrestling, we have to take the good with the bad, unfortunately. But Motley Crue's really doing the work here, man. Running and bumping. And then, hey, whip me off, brother. Come on, don't you remember? Just reverse. I don't know. Take a... I love that whole thing where Richie Rouge clearly does not know what to do next. Motley Crue is like, whip me off. I don't know. Just come off and jump up and I'll do a slam. Okay, just fall down on me. Why not? And then, of course, Bulldozer comes out with his chain and just starts beating Richie Rouge with it. If you won't accept my challenge, I'm going to beat you with a very real and very heavy chain about the spinal area. And as you would in a fight, if you had a chain or a weapon, you'd throw it away to the side and do a fancy little spike pile driver. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that if you had a guy down and you're beating him with a weapon? Just do a fun, fancy move. So Bulldozer has escalated this thing, okay? Bulldozer has it all. A man on top of the world, has the love of his life in his arms, just smitten with him. But he just can't get Richie Rouge. And I didn't get it before. I get it now. If I was Bulldozer, I would probably put my whole life and relationships on the line too, just to smack Richie Rouge in the mouth. Sorry. If you ask me, he's just a mommy's boy and a daddy's boy, who, by the way, neither one of them ain't nothing either. That's just some Granny Smith wisdom. Bite into it.
Bulldozer with Gypsy. Bulldozer, I think you have Richie Rouge mad.
Yeah, Buddy Lee, I got that little boy mad. Now, Richie Rouge, you're out here and you're hollering and you're ranting and you're raving, boy, and that's just what I want. Because I remember about...
Gypsy's like blowing kisses to the heavens. Like, I don't know. It's hard to pay attention to this because I'm just watching Gypsy. Like, she's just a one-person show.
10 years ago, when I was in the jungles, and I was over there fighting for my country that don't really care for me, boy, I'm going to tell you something and I'm going to tell you now.
Getting serious, getting real, getting a little dark. Okay, Bulldozer with kind of a Rambo vibe here, right? Went to Vietnam. I would assume Vietnam, just given the timeline of this, I guess. I don't know. Wherever he went and fought for his country, but his country didn't want him. Real Rambo story here. All Bulldozer wanted was something to eat.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!
I'm gonna let your old man know that he ain't nothing, and you ain't ever had nothing, boy. I have walked where no man has walked. Now, mister, you get ready, because doom and gloom is on its way, boy.
I don't know what Bulldozer's talking about, but it scares the shit out of me, if that helps. Doesn't have to make sense to be scary. In fact, sometimes little life lesson for you, sometimes stuff that doesn't make sense is scarier. Because then it's a layer of, well, I don't understand it, so now it's even scarier than if I did understand it. Just a little tip, if you're ever trying to threaten somebody, make it weird. Make it not make sense. Yeah, you don't want to fight me? Well, get this. I've driven down a road nobody's ever driven down before. I've started my car with things that aren't even my keys. You don't want to fight me? I sleep on breadsticks every night, pal. You don't want to fight me? I stir marinara sauce cups with my dick. That's just a few examples.
Because I'm going to beat you within an inch of your life. If you don't believe it, be there.
So that's Bulldozer's plan. Bulldozer's plan, he said, he has a plan that he's laid. And the plan was talk a bunch of shit about Richie Rouge over and over and over, and then let Richie come on TV and be like, no, man, no, I'm not going to fight you. And then just come out and beat the hell out of him with a chain and make him mad. Master plan by Bulldozer. But you would think that the next chapter of this story would be, okay, well, now he finally accepts the challenge. No. Richie Rouge still refuses to fight Bulldozer. And so we see a step that is very, very rarely taken in professional wrestling. When a professional wrestling rivalry reaches a certain fever pitch that's also met with a certain stalemate, sort of brick wall, there's only one thing in professional wrestling that can break through that impossible wall, and that is, of course, produce.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bulldozer and Gypsy.
Hello, Buddy Lee. You know something, Richie Rouge? I've been listening to you and hearing what you've been saying. Boy, I'm not going to holler and scream today, man, because I ain't got to. I got something to prove to you, Turkey.
Hey, real quick, I'm afraid of this. Like, Bulldozer's back and he's calm. And also Gypsy has an apple and a weird tourniquet on her arm. And is instead of hand fucking Bulldozer, she is just staring at the camera holding an apple, kind of a little bit sensually. But Bulldozer, sir, if I can please call you sir, I have no quarrel with you. I respect you. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say, sir.
I'm 300 pounds of fury, man. And I just want to tell you something, boy. If you don't believe it, these apples are real good.
Feels like one of the last things you'd hear someone say to you as you were being held hostage in, like, the movie Red State or something. Like you're locked in a cage and the guy's like, these apples are real good, boy. Like, oh my God. A guy calmly telling you that the food he's handing you is really good, which makes you kind of feel like maybe it's the last food you're ever going to eat. Richie Rouge, maybe you should have thought of that.
But you know what I do with apples, man? When I start tearing them apart, I just like to keep going, boy. Just powder you like a little piece of pulp, man.
Okay. I am sure there's a technique to smashing an apple with one hand. However, I think I could probably train for the next 5 years and not be able to. So, I don't know what, sir, Mr. Bulldozer, if I can, please, if I may be so bold to call you Mr. Bulldozer, I don't know what you've had to do in your job as a professional bounty hunter or whatever it is that you do that I respect and is terrifying. I don't know what you've had to do in your life to build up that kind of strength in your hand to smash an apple with it. I don't want to shake your hand. I don't want to come near your hands at all, ever. And I don't want your hands to come near me. But tip of the cap, and thank you, sir.
So, Richie, I want to tell you something, boy. You listen and you listen well, and you look at the apple that's in my hand, boy, because that's what your face is gonna look like when I step in the ring with you, mister. Because I don't like you because your daddy has bought you everything. Your old lady has always coddled you and made you think that you were something. Boy, you are nothing, man.
Just if we can have Bulldozer out of the room for this next part, I just want to say if Bulldozer could just leave the room. It sounds like Bulldozer is a little jealous of Richie Rouge's relationship. And I'm not saying he should be, because I don't know. I have no idea. I do know Gypsy is treating Bulldozer like one of those contests where you have to keep your hand on a truck for like 4 days at the radio station to win it or whatever. But Bulldozer is blinded by whatever he sees in Richie Rouge's relationship, which we never find out. I mean, we can only speculate. What a tangled web we weave when first we practice to conceive.
I'm the man that has walked 300,000 miles of barbed wire to get to where I am, boy.
Here's what I want to say, Bulldozer, sir. Thank you for joining us back in the room. I don't even want to say anything about how you said you walked 300 miles of what you're calling barbed wire. And I'm going to say officially, it is not barbed wire, it's barbed wire. And it always has been barbed wire. There's a very famous movie starring Pamela Anderson called Barbed Wire, where she plays the titular character, Bob Wire.
You remember, Richie Rouge, because I'm going to kick your brains out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richie Rouge.
Why does Richie Rouge look like one of the gremlins?
Well, I'll tell you something, Bulldozer. I am impressed. I mean, I can't come out here and I can't squash an apple with my bare hands.
Well, then I guess we're done here. Because around these parts, the only people we have respect for, Richie Rouge, are people who can squash an apple. Okay? So I guess we're done here.
It does show that you do have a lot of power and you are a man to be respected. But you know, I tell you, I can't come out here and I can't crush an apple, but there's one thing I can do. And that's step into the ring and fight as hard as I know how to do and do the best job that I know how to do. And Bulldozer, I don't care what you do out here.
So perfect that his voice squeaks. Like he's trying to get tough. Like, hey, you can come out. Hey, you know what? You can come out here and you can squash apples. And I can't squash an apple. And I'm impressed by that. But I don't care how big and how bad you think you are.
Or I don't care how big or bad you are. Nobody is going to come out here and talk about my family. I'll stand face to face to you one-on-one no matter what I have to do.
Well, it sounds like all you have to do, Richie Rouge, is sign on the dotted line. He's only said it like 5 times.
When I leave, you want to keep doing this. But then when I come around, you don't want to post up.
These apples are real good.
What we have next is shocking. So Bulldozer has a nerve hold on, I think it's Johnny Malibu. You probably can't tell because the commentary sounds terrible on these old videos and they piped in a bunch of crowd noise and ruined it. But Richie Rouge comes to ringside, turns Gypsy around, and plants a kiss on her face and takes off running to the back. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Richie Rouge. We're supposed to cheer Richie Rouge, and he just runs out to the ring for no reason and commits assault. So Bulldozer legitimately completely flustered. Walks out of the ring, gets counted out of the ring, loses the match. Richie Rouge is already back home with his worthless mom and dad and his very, very supportive significant other. And so the next time we see Richie Rouge, he's gone from like terrifying gremlin alien boy to could not be more satisfied with the misconduct that he has just committed.
Folks, here's Richie Rouge.
Well, Bulldozer, I'll tell you something. You know, everybody knows there's more than one way to skin a cat.
We're squashing apples, we're skinning cats. I don't know what the hell's going on.
And what I did was I didn't go out there, Bulldozer, and I didn't beat you with a chain, but I hurt you where it hurts worst. and that's going out and kissing your woman.
Okay, so, all right, so, I cannot be, I mean, you have to agree, right? I can't be the only person that thinks that Richie Rouge is just a giant piece of shit in the storyline, right? Like, he's supposed to be our hero, and he's this, like, smug little jerk who kissed some guy's wife or whatever, and is like, hey, you know what? You challenged me for weeks and weeks and weeks and came out and you interfered in my match and you beat me up and you talked bad about my family, and I just basically said I was going to fight you over and over and over for weeks and weeks, and then instead I just came out, kissed your wife on the mouth. So, case closed, boys.
And all I did was just go out and use my Southern charm on her.
Is that what Southern charm is, sir? Is that what? Then Pepe Le Pew was the most charming Southerner in the history of everything.
And you know, I think she kind of liked it a little bit too.
Hey, real quick, it's getting weird. It's getting weird around here. It's getting a little. It's kind of hot in here. Like temperature-wise, not sexually, just temperature. Or sexually earlier with Gypsy a little bit with what she was doing to Bulldozer, but now not. And also just temperature-wise, but it's just getting weird. It's getting a little misty in here in the sense of we're blurring some lines and getting into some uncomfortable territory.
You know, she's never probably had anybody take her out and treat her like a lady or anything. I mean,
is that what he thinks he did?
You can look at Bulldozer and you can tell he's not much of a ladies' man.
I need you to chill, bud. Hey, bud. Come here. Richie Rouge. You saw the guy squash an apple with his hands, right? And he said he was going to do that to your face. That was before. He was just, when he did that, when he squashed like hard fruit with his hand, with one hand, very easily and quickly, and it just kind of exploded everywhere, and he said he's going to do that to your face, that's when he just didn't like you just because of who you are. Now you've done something absolutely abominable, and you're talking a bunch of shit. I just want to say, for the record, for every record, for Mr. Bulldozer's record, and everything, I just want to say I disagree with Richie Rouge.
But Bulldozer, I tell you what, like I said, I'm not going to come out and beat you with a chain, but I'll stand across the ring to you face to face, and you know, you can come out here and scream and holler and say anything you want to say, but it just don't matter to me one way or the other.
I think it probably matters to the police and just the moral bent of the universe.
Folks, there's Bulldozer and Gypsy.
Richie Rouge, you cost me two things that are very dear to me, man.
Here's where we're getting into something. Notice Gypsy's posture. She's not all over Bulldozer. She's not mouthing to the camera seductively. She's standing there, a little stoic. She tries here and there, but she's not. She's a shell of what she was before. There's questioning in those eyes.
First of all, you got me counted out in the match, man. I had the turkey beat. I had him beat right down into the mat, man. And you come out there and you put your lips on my woman, boy. You kissed my woman, man. And don't no man put his hands on something that belongs to me.
Hey, weird way to phrase being married. Boy, just no heroes in this one, huh? Except for, I guess, maybe Gypsy. And we can't, Buddy Lee's never the hero. I mean, look at him back there with his little beady eyes.
And I want to tell you something, Turkey. If you think that you're man enough to have my woman like you or anything else, boy, you ain't nothing, man. You didn't like that, did you, Gypsy? What do you mean?
So there it is. Home wrecked, courtesy of Richie Rouge. I'm not going to say that Bulldozer didn't deserve some sort of reaction, some sort of revenge from Richie Rouge. But Richie Rouge has taken a beautiful storybook, fairy tale relationship and driven a wedge permanently between the two of them.
Well, I want a match, boy. If you got any backbone in your body, Richie Rouge, you sign a no disqualification match. No time limit, boy. Nothing. No holds barred. Throw all the rules out the book, boy. Just like it is back in the clubhouse, man. Back where you ride your Harleys, boy. Ain't no rules, man. No rules to life except survival.
Hey, Richie Rouge, don't. I really would love to see Richie Rouge get... maybe not his face smashed like an apple in the hand of Bulldozer, but I would really like to see Richie Rouge get his ass kicked. But don't. No DQ with Bulldozer. No rules, no holds barred. Don't.
So, Richie Rouge, if you got any backbone, boy, if you got any guts in your body, man, you sign it, mister, and I'll beat you. I'll tear you up, Richie Rouge. I can't talk the way I want to talk, Buddy Lee, but I'll tear him up.
What was he gonna say? There is a very, very real and frightening fury inside of Bulldozer that I'm not even joking, am terrified of.
He's having a real
So the relationship is changed forever. Gypsy, even on TV, couldn't pretend that she didn't now have some kind of weird feelings for Richie Rouge. And that makes me wonder, is that what this has been about from the beginning? Did Bulldozer know about this? Did he have an instinct? Did he have a feeling? Did he see them maybe cross in the hallway and thought they were a little too familiar? Is that where all this hatred's really coming from? Has Richie Rouge been planting this seed? Has he been surreptitiously from the beginning like a sneaky little snake?
I'm a snake.
Slithering around backstage, planting these seeds of doubt, trying to ruin the relationship of Gypsy and Bulldozer. Is that what started all of this? The short answer, yes. I don't have any proof of it, but I know it in my wrestler's heart and soul and instinct and fan of Nicholas Sparks novels brain. Okay? I've watched enough Hallmark movies over Christmas time to understand that that's exactly what happened. And that if Bulldozer can finally get his hands on Richie Rouge's face, he deserves to have it squashed like an apple.
We're back. Bulldozer has challenged Richie Rouge for a match twice on television. Richie Rouge has commented he did not really want to get into the ring with a man 100 pounds heavier and a lot more experience. Well, contracts are signed, everything's taken care of, everything but the match. Now let's go to the ring and see what happens.
So we finally get it. We finally get the actual showdown. The match is happening. Richie Rouge has agreed to face Bulldozer again. Clubhouse rules, apparently.
Here it is, Richie Rouge in the ring with the Bulldozer.
I'm looking forward to this match, buddy. There's a lot of weight difference.
A lot. Look at Bulldozer. Look at Richie. In fact, this was discussed in one of the interviews. Richie discussed how big Bulldozer was.
Just think of the experience Bulldozer has over Richie Rouge.
I like the commentators being like, yeah, basically, yeah, Richie Rouge is really fucked. It's an interesting start to a match where you have an absolute blood feud going on and a relationship at stake where you just do a casual lockup, top wrist lock, and a body slam where you fall down by accident. That's what we're here for. Bulldozer, first ticket Hall of Famer. Not holding back on these strikes to Richie Rouge here at all. Just relentlessly pounding Richie Rouge down to the mat. It's exactly what we expected. We are about to watch a grown man die. I mean, I kind of grow. He's mostly grown. He's mostly grown. Also, Richie Rouge, by the way, does claim to be 5'10", which is just ridiculous. If Richie Rouge is 5'10", then I'm 8'9". I love that Richie Rouge is probably so actually in real life nervous about wrestling with Bulldozer that he's trying to be as helpful as he can and jump 7 or 8 minutes before the body slam. Richie Rouge has not done a move. This is just Bulldozer annihilating Richie Rouge, and exactly what we deserve to see. It's exactly what Richie Rouge deserves. You signed up for no DQ. This one's going to be a bloodbath, and the blood is going to be on the apple juice and seed-soaked hands of Bulldozer. Sorry, bud.
Serious. Richie Rouge, I'm sure, trying to be, but look at what's happening.
Rouge is kicked out of this. I would not have thought it.
Bulldozer pushing Rouge into the corner, swinging him in the other corner.
Here comes Bulldozer, and he misses.
Richie Rouge with a schoolboy. Is this it?
He got him. He's pinned Bulldozer.
I think one of the hardest parts about growing up and becoming an adult is when you actually rationalize the fact that there is no justice in the world. By all accounts, Richie Rouge should have been fully annihilated by Bulldozer. But Bulldozer has always had one weakness. It's his turtle-like inability to roll off of his back. It's why he loses so many wrestling matches. He really picked a terrible career. So the cameras didn't pick up what happened after the match. There was a segment after the match where even though, good news, sports fan, even though Richie Rouge exploited Bulldozer's turtle-like inability to get up off of his shell, Bulldozer apparently beat Richie Rouge half to death after the match. Look how happy he is.
Sportsmanlike going in like that. What?
What do you mean, sportsman? I'm not no sportsman, man. I'm in this profession to win. And Richie Rouge, I done just what I said I would do.
What do we see Gypsy doing? Rubbing down her dude, man.
I left you laying, boy. Now, yeah, I'm a happy man. I'm real happy, Richie Rouge. So if you want some more, you just come right on down anytime, any place, anywhere. The alleys, the supermarkets.
Can you imagine walking in the supermarket and seeing Bulldozer just like smashing watermelons like it's a Gallagher concert?
The beer joints. I'm going to ride right over you, Richie Rouge. Yeah, I'm a happy man.
Here's how you know someone's actually scary. When they're more terrifying when they are talking calmly, or when they're absolutely horrifying because they're laughing and look happy. That's a terrifying picture to look at.
Buddy Lee, don't ever call me no sportsman.
He doesn't even care that he lost the match. All he cares about is that he was able to beat Richie Rouge down enough, just mercilessly enough, in front of Gypsy that Gypsy now seems like she loves him again. Who are we to judge Southern love?
Richie Rouge, that was very brutal words from Bulldozer.
In the true cyclical and never-ending nature of love and its many stories, we have seen Richie Rouge now cycle back to his, I would say, more natural when the gremlins take over the movie theater state.
Well, you know something, Bulldozer? You proved to me that you're not a real man. You came out here, you challenged me, and I got in the ring with you, pinned you 1, 2, 3. You couldn't accept that. You couldn't be a real man, so you had to jump me from behind. Well, Bulldozer, the tables have finally turned now, and I'm out here, I'm challenging you. It doesn't matter where I have to go or what I have to do, brother. I want you in the ring. And you know, you look at me, I'm a little guy at 5'10", 215 pounds, Bulldozer.
But
You may not think I'm big enough for the job, but brother, just grab a hold of me and watch me grow.
are we still talking about having a match, or Richie, have you seen what Bulldozer does to apples with his hands? I don't even care if I was in a loving, if I myself, as the man I am, was in a loving, committed, and passionate relationship with Bulldozer, I wouldn't let those apple crushing hands anywhere near any part of me to watch it grow.
You may not think I'm big enough for the job, but brother, just grab a hold of me and watch me grow.
Now, boy, you come.
And in this case, with Richie Rouge inserting himself in between Bulldozer and Gypsy and driving them apart, maybe only temporarily, maybe forever, we don't know. All we can do with this kernel of hope that we have is grab a hold of it and watch it grow. Now that's what I call wrestling. In the dusty corners of the ring, where sweat meets steel, we witnessed a saga not just of strength, but of shattered hearts.
These apples are real good.
Bulldozer, a titan of terror in the squared circle, a man whose love for Gypsy was as fierce as his grip on the apple he crushed.
These apples are real good.
Each fragment a mirror to his fracturing soul. Tonight we saw a different kind of match, not just between rivals, but within the recesses of a troubled heart. Our mountain of might, challenged by the nimble Richie Rouge, whose courage isn't measured in muscle, but in moments.
I am impressed.
Moments like that stolen kiss at ringside. A kiss that might as well have been a dagger thrust into Bulldozer's very essence, slicing through the fabric of what he held dear.
These apples are real good.
The betrayal, real or perceived, turned lovers into combatants on a battlefield where the spoils were not a belt, not a title, but something far more delicate, the human heart. As the final bell rang and Richie stood victorious, something in Bulldozer's eyes flickered. Was it defeat? Or was it the dawning realization that the arena of love is far more brutal than any wrestling match? Gypsy, torn, her affections like a pendulum swung back to her towering titan. Yet the scars remained, etched, not on the flesh, but on the spirit.
Now, boy, you come.
Let us remember the apple. Once whole, now a symbol of strength, but also a testament to the ease with which the human heart can be fragmented. As Bulldozer's fingers opened, releasing the remnants of his fury, we too must release our grip on what we think we know about love and rivalry. For in this ring of life, the battles are many, the victories are fleeting, and the wounds